Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
Maria looks too pretty today.
Yeah, but that's like I've been
I'm
up
like genuinely mad at you when like it opens and I'm like, mother, I just woke up.
I know, but like I've been up for hours and like we're under tier 3, which means you can't do anything really. And then I just watch YouTube like makeup tutorials and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna do a wing look or whatever it is I do.
So pretty. I'm so mad. Like I'm not gonna even do it if I was like waiting to do this for hours. Like I still wouldn't be doing like any makeup because I actually don't mind putting on makeup. I hate taking it off.
Yeah.
So my cat's butt is just like legit, like, come on, dude. Hitting me in the face. I once asked my mom, I was like, does she have control of her tail or is it just do it? She's like, oh, she does. And she just like truly just like couldn't give a fuck.
You know, like my brother, to be funny, always puts his foot in my face, like when we're watching TV. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. And your cat's just doing that with her tail. Like she's actually being a bully.
Yeah, just such an asshole. I think I've worn makeup on this like twice. It's because something else needed makeup or I was leaving the house for something. But like, you know what really pisses me off? You know when you have a self-tape, but you have nothing else for the day? So, our curly hair takes forever and then you put on the makeup, then you do this self-tape and then you're like, I'm just gorgeous in my house for no reason.
It's so unfair. Because Johnny offered to run the lines with me, like when I last self-tape I had that you were helping me with, and you were supposed to help me at like 3 p.m. But I was like, John, I don't really have time because I have to go home at 11. He was like, well, what time are you taping? I was like, 3. And he was like, well, I can help you run the lines till then. I was like, but you don't understand. I was like, I have to shower. And he was like, you could shower here. And I was like, well, I'm like, he wasn't being this pleading. He was like, fine.
Yeah.
But he was like, you could shower here. And I was like, yeah, but like I have the deep conditioner and the like hairstyling products that I need and I have the microfiber towel that I need to scrunch my hair. And then that needs 4 hours to dry. Like I can't do it with a blow dryer or whatever. Like, and then he was like, I had no idea this was like this complicated. Just fine, whatever you need to do. I'm sorry.
Whenever a woman is asked like, what do I do? I mean, clearly my hair's gross right now, but they've been like, oh, your hair's beautiful. What do you do? And I'm just like, okay. You know what I mean? It's just like you breathe in and you're like, okay, first I start and you're just like, you're going to need these 19 hair products and these 4 hours. And they're like, why? And you're like, exactly. That's why I only do my hair like once a week. And then I just hope it lasts. Like, or I hope I don't see anybody. And then we did this podcast and it's just blown all my beauty out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, like I've just had time. I'm like, I've never done a wing dye. I never thought I could pull it off. I still don't really think I could pull it off. I don't think I'm sassy enough for a wing dye, but like, I just watched several YouTube videos and they made it seem so easy and it looks like it is, but, I've just had time.
I've always wanted to try it. You look gorgeous. I think you can pull it off. If anybody in the comments says otherwise, I will delete you. I will bully you with my power. Before we get into anything, we had Jacob as one of our Patreon Google guests, and if you don't remember, he was like showing us gems. He sent us gems that he made for us. He sent us salsa. He sent us oh crap. I would get up.
So he because he cuts gems, he uses the gem mineral dust for plant food, and with that plant food, like he or with the plants that he grows with the plant food, he makes the salsa, which he then sent to our PO box, which is Liz.
Yeah.
For that.
It's incredible. Like I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I know you're so mad at me.
I hate you so much. You're just like, well, it looks like I can't send homemade goods overseas, homemade food. You're eating my salsa, aren't you?
Salsa. So I'm not even a salt. First of all, everybody knows I'm not even like a
huge
foodie
salsa
person.
fan.
I know. And I don't even care about salsa, but like I was cooking with my roommate yesterday and I was like, oh, I'm kind of hungry and this is going to take like 45 minutes. So I like took out the chips. I was struggling to open the salsa because it's like sealed and stuff. And then I'm eating it. And as I'm eating it, like, when you have like full awareness where you like, it's like, I remember once we got these cannolis after a gig, me and my friend Jim, and we were both talking. And then out of nowhere, we just stopped talking because it was like, we just need to focus on how good these cannolis are. Like, it was just like 2 fat kids that were like, shh. I just need to focus. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's almost how I felt. I was like talking to John, I was cooking, I was eating the salsa, and I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, this is so good. And it's this like raspberry salsa. I'm very, and he doesn't even sell it. That's the horrible part, is I was like looking at his website and stuff like that. And he sells his plant food. Go buy his plant food. But he doesn't sell, he calls it friendship salsa. And I'm like, now we have to be best friends, Jacob, because I'm addicted. But go to his website, Jacob Lee Downey, DOWNEY.com. I'll write it down. He was a fan of ours, but now I'm a fan back. See what you did there?
Yeah.
See what you did there?
Well, Jacob, I don't know, but it's great.
I don't trust Liz anyway. It's
no,
really
I'm sure it was
good.
delicious. I trust that you loved it. I just, I didn't get to try it or anything because I'm all the way in fucking London.
Yeah, and that's your choice. And this is like
this is your ultimate revenge for me leaving you.
It's like these little baby moments that just show that you shouldn't have left me. Yeah. And I'm glad I'm glad Jacob could help me with that. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's get into our announcements. The reason Jacob was able to be our Google guest is we have a Patreon tier where you can come on and be one of our Google guests, but you can also get stickers, bonus episodes, early access, control our Googles. There's tons of stuff on our Patreon. So Patreon / I don't know what that thing is, 2 Non-Doctors, and become a patron of us.
Yes. And follow us on the socials, on everything, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, it's 2 Non-Doctors. And then on Instagram, it's 2 Non-DRS.
And then rate and review us. We got some really great reviews recently on iTunes. It makes our day.
They make us really happy. They really do.
We do. We text them to each other, and then we're like, we're changing lives. But it helps us become more discoverable, helps us get on lists, and in general, just makes our day. So rate and review us on iTunes. And I think we're ready for fan mail.
Yeah, cool. This one's from Martin. He writes in about, we were talking about alcohol a couple episodes ago, and he says, in a previous life, when I drank, I typically only drank on a rare occasion. The groups of people I ran with were all happy drunks, some functioning alcoholics, some medicating. Almost all would be totally cool with ordering a fruity drink. But I think we all were there simply for the group camaraderie, doing something together, socializing. It just unfortunately involved alcohol all the time. With me, I typically never drank, but was always hanging out with this group. In those times, I almost always drank water. And at some point they'd say, Marty, another water. And how many have you had? 2? You were totally cut off. It was great just. And in those times I'd get what I would refer to as a contact high from these individuals. They were intoxicated, happy, jovial, having a great time, and I slipped right in, totally sober. My unprofessional thought theory would be that this effect is the same as sugar, exercise, laughter, dopamine. It stimulated me positively, and I wanted more of it. It's not always fun and games when you're 100% sober and everyone else is not, which eventually was one of the many reasons I drifted away from this life. But at the time, the one day I drank was St. Patrick's Day, just a solid working buzz all day, dropping from one place to another. It was so prominent that people in the group used to get stoked for that day as it arrived. Marty only drinks one day of the year on St. Patrick's Day. No contact buzz needed that day. Marty.
Thanks, Marty. I related to this like so much. Like first of all, I think he said his unprofessional opinion, but I think he's right. Like we depend on that with comedy, with like groupthink, like that kind of like, when everybody's having a good time, it kind of influences other people to kind of have a good time. Hence why all comedy specials are in front of a live audience, so that even when you're at home watching it, there's that laughter to kind of influence you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes you'll be watching stand-up on TV and you're like, why is everyone laughing? It's oftentimes because they edit it that way. But I get that. And I do know it's easier to laugh when people are laughing around you. And I do understand how like people having a good time, you'll kind of like, feel the buzz off that and you'll have a good time. But there are some times when people are drunk and they're just repeating themselves and you're sober enough to like realize, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, because they keep saying the same thing over and over again and they talk a lot. So it's not always fun.
It's like the law of diminishing returns. Like when, like that first, like you even talked in the episode, like the first couple of wines or whatever, where it just kind of loosens you up and you feel good. And it's like, yeah, that's a good time because here's your tense friend or your friend that had a bad day that's just kind of relaxing. And then if you're able to just kind of chill without drinking, you guys are on the same level. It's just when it starts to head into drunk and just a mess.
When I was in college, there was like that apex because I would play pool a lot and I was always amazing at 2 beers. like win tournaments level pool player, and then after that it just went downhill. But like I just had to, it was like hard to
Fighting
like
people
stay.
with like pool cubes.
Yeah, after that I was beating people with a pool cue.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the drink water around all my friends that are drunk person pretty much since like college, because even when I was drinking, I just didn't really enjoy it, or I had to go do a show and I was too nervous to be impaired to do a show, so I would be sober with everybody and then I would peel off and go do a show. So I was always the person that either just had one drink or I had no drinks. And you know, I've talked about my buddy Prakash sometimes being a little pressury to be like, have something, because he doesn't want to drink alone, and I get that. But for the most part, most people were pretty accepting, and then now I don't drink at all and it doesn't matter. But like, I did the same thing though. I would have that one day a year. Like, it was my birthday. My birthday was the day that I would drink. And so everybody would get really excited about my birthday. And I think it was like kind of subconscious, where it's just like, they're excited about my birthday. I'm excited about my birthday. I don't remember if my birthday was good or not. No.
I'm trying to think of it because we've shared birthdays a couple times. I was trying to think of how like you drinking and if you got like noticeably drunk.
We never drank together though. Like, we aren't drinking. We were eating friends.
Yeah.
You would make me food. We'd go out to get food. Like, we
I don't
were
know
always.
if you've ever noticed, but with a partner and a best friend, apparently, you can't get drunk together. It's either like one person sort of stays sober while the other one gets wasted, and vice versa, because I feel like one person just assumes the role of care in these situations. And I've cared for you when you were drunk. You've definitely cared for me when I was drunk.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same. Yeah, it was like that with an ex. I don't think Johnny and I both got wasted at the same time. It always seemed to like balance like that.
Yeah. There's always somebody that has to be sober enough to call a cab.
Yeah, I don't know why though. It's not like we plan it. It just sort of ends up that. I'd be interested to hear if that happens to anyone else.
Yeah. I don't know. I related. Thanks for sending it in, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Ready for Googles?
Yes.
We're so excited for our Google guest this week. He's a co-executive producer and writer for Jesus and Marrow, but just the funniest comedian I know. Give it up for Josh Gondelman, everybody.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Thank you for having me. This was my Google. I Googled thumb hurts, scroll too much phone. I don't ask Google questions because I don't like to talk to computers like they're people. And so I just give it the words. I don't want to give Google the dignity. It's not even Jeeves. You know what I mean? You're supposed to ask Jeeves. Google, I'm just like, here's all the words. You figure it out.
I also love that there's like a secret part of you. There's like, I'm not going to cheat on my wife by starting a relationship with Google. You're not going to know my inner thoughts.
Well, it's like, yeah, I don't want them to know my inner thoughts. I don't like the idea. Like, I don't use Siri on my phone, or like we don't have any of the like smart helpers. I just don't. And it's not like I morally am against it. I just am like, I'll get too comfortable with it and I'll think they're my friends. So
you start telling them about your day. You come home, you drop your keys off, and you're like, I got to tell you, Alexa,
I have had a morning. And so that's what I Googled. That was my Google search.
And was it enough for Google to understand what your problem was?
I got it. You know how it has those people also ask?
Yeah.
And so I clicked that. The first one was, can scrolling on phone cause thumb pain? Which is not the question. I knew that the answer to that was yes, but it did have the article that it had in response was from Cedars Sinai's blog. And it said, which I didn't know they had. Then it says, ask a doc, what is texting thumb? Because my screen time is roughly 24 hours a day. I was like, maybe there's like a PT exercise. That's what I want to know. Because my left thumb, my dominant thumb, I do most of my scrolling one-handed, and I could do the other hand. You know, I work both, but I mostly do the left. And so I was like, I wonder if there's like a little exercise.
You might say that you're ambidextrous. Thank you.
Get out of here,
That
Maria.
is like something I would say for sure. So yeah, they asked Dr. Eugene Tsai, and he says texting thumb is a real thing. And here's the other one. People also get texting pinky because they hold their phone and it's supported by their pinky. Depending on how you hold it in your hand, it'll like put stress on your pinky finger too. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just like, hey, you know, do like the thumb rotations, which feels like a very elementary school calisthenics exercise. But I made that up. That's not anything.
Like, you know, in the 80s, they had those grip things to make your hand. Like, I
sure.
I love the idea that like you're just walking around your neighborhood and people are like,
Just
oh, he's
gripping.
a bodybuilder. And you're like, no, I
Yeah.
have a job, bro. And it's all on my phone.
It's a phone job and I need to exercise to stay lean. And it's also known as trigger thumb, which is much cooler as
It's
a
way
name
cooler.
than texting thumb.
Just a bunch of cowboys out there. Like, why does my
Yeah.
thumb hurt?
Yeah. Yeah, why does my thumb hurt? Ask that dead guy. And so that I was like, what is there to help? Maybe there's exercises. And Dr. Eugene Tsai he says, altering your daily routine to allow thumb and wrist to rest is helpful. And it's like, no deal.
Get off your phone, loser. Is basically.
Yeah, exactly. Not gonna. And then they were like anti-inflammatories, like you can take like an ibuprofen. And it's like, all right, now that's my speed. And then it's like, or some people need steroid injections, and if those don't offer lasting relief, surgery. And I was like,
No.
I can't get to the point where I'm having surgery from texting too much.
Yeah.
Like, my dad worked in construction for 40 years and he had like reparative like knee surgery. Once he retired, he waited till he retired so that he wouldn't have to recover and then go back to work and put more strain on it. And so I can't be like, yeah, I'm 35 and I kind of relate because I text too much and I needed surgery on my thumb so I can
My
go back
job
to
is pretty
texting.
strenuous.
We both kind of work with our hands.
I do love like the Gondelman family tree where it's just like your great grandfather has like black lung and then your dad has like these knees that don't work and you're like my thumb's in a cast.
Yeah,
like,
texting thumb. And my child, if I ever have one, is gonna have like singularity brain, just brain cramps from uploading their consciousness too fast into a computer. Like, oh, it's like I ate too much ice cream.
We're gonna have a whole generation of people whose thumb's gonna be able to predict the weather.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, my thumb is sore. It's gonna storm.
I know that because of the pain and also because it hurts when I look at my weather app.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, Josh.
Thank you for having me. This is a real pleasure.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
As you are doing your Google in this moment. Okay. So, all right. So this, you kind of know what my Google is because I brought you into it. So my Google is, what does neurodivergent mean? And the reason I Googled that was there was a meme that I saw on when I was scrolling through our account, and it just said, neurodivergent people be like, and it says, I simply do not vibe with this fork. And I sent it to you, and I was like, yo, I relate to this like too hard.
Yeah.
And then I looked up what neurodivergent is. And first of all, so it's differing in mental neurological function from what is considered typical or normal, frequently used with reference to the autistic spectrum disorders. But it's an umbrella term for dyslexia, dyscalculia, I don't know if I said that right, ADHD, autism, there's some of these are big, dysparphia. I want to say it's dysgraphia, but I don't think that's what it is. I'm talking epilepsy, Tourette's or tic disorders, intellectual disabilities. So it's just a huge umbrella term. And all of a sudden I was like, oh shit. I was like, no wonder I agree. Cause I like literally saw that and I was like, oh, I completely relate to that. Like I've hated certain forks. I've been elated by a type of spoon. I've felt a kinship to a mug. Like there's like, I don't know, there's certain things that I just tactilely and emotionally connect with the same way I would feel about a friend to an object. And I didn't deep dive any deeper I just was like, what is this and why do I relate to it? And then it was like dyslexia people. And what's funny about it is I read that list and I was like, I bet you, just because misophonia isn't widely known, I bet you the reason that, because you said you related to it, I bet you misophonia is on it. Because I think it mostly relates to autism, but then all these other kind of disorders, disabilities, whatever you call it, are channeled under it. I think misophonia would be under it if it was as popular as ADHD.
I get like that when I was picking out a notebook. There was like 17 different colors of notebook, and I was like scrolling the thing over them all until one of them made me feel calm. Yeah.
It's like when you hear about kids being like, my peas touched my mashed potatoes and I cannot eat this. And you're like, I kind of get it. Like,
I do. Yeah. Cause there was a certain blue that I was like, not this blue, not that blue, that blue. And then it's just like, yeah, it like locks into place. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, so I've only got my nails done a couple of times. But have you ever had like a woman where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get this, and they're like, do you want this? And you're like, ew, who would ever pick that color? Like, you almost are like, are you dead inside? Like, I can't even believe that color is an option. It's so offensive. And you're like, oh no, thank you. But in my head, I'm like angry. I'm like, bitch, I picked this color because it's the best color that's ever happened to the universe. Your color is the closest to vomit I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
But
get
you can't be that passionate.
Yeah, but
about
like,
colors.
I know, I tweeted once that like I just spent longer choosing a nail color than I did choosing what college to go to. But like, I like a certain thickness in like drinking like water glasses, you know, like, but I thought that was just getting older. Like now I just have a preference of these things. And
I
then
do think
you've been out to like cafes with me where I'm like, sit down and I'm like, not this seat. And then I think there was a sketch I wrote about it. I can't remember. And then we would just have to keep changing seats.
Yeah. I cannot do this today. You are very particular. I've learned to enjoy it. But I think what we're particular about is very different. Like my favorite part about Europe is they give you a tiny teaspoon, and I fucking love tiny teaspoon. I'm obsessed with spoons. I do not know why. I've been like this since I was a teenager.
Tiny teaspoon.
Yes, exactly. And then we're gonna have to pay royalties. Good job.
Come at me, Elton John.
But like I've been to places, you know, in New York, and I go, oh, can I have a spoon? And they give you like a soup spoon, and you're like, are you a monster? Are you a fuck?
Yeah.
Who raised you?
But they give spoons for desserts here, which I hate. I'm a fork dessert person. No dessert spoon. I want a fork.
No. Well, agree to disagree.
Are you telling me you eat cake with a spoon?
If it has ice cream with it, no, I eat it with a fork.
Yeah, of course you do. You're not a monster.
Okay. It's one of our most aggressive fights. Being neurodivergent is very, very combative.
Yeah.
What's your Google?
My Google is like, why has my cold lasted so long? Here's the thing. I thought it was allergies. And then this is weeks ago this stuff started. And then because Johnny was like, why are your allergies so bad? They weren't this bad this time last year. And I was like, I don't know. And I started taking allergy medication for it, and it didn't work. It just made me drowsy, but it didn't work. And so I was like, maybe it's not allergies. Maybe it's actually a cold. I haven't taken cold medication, but like, if it is a cold, why has it been like 3 weeks? I swear to God, like the last few podcasts, I sound stuffy, and I know I had like to pause a lot to blow my nose and stuff. And I know I sound stuffy now. What the fuck is going on?
Could it be like bronchitis or something? Hold on, I have to get this cat.
Yeah.
Working from home is so hard.
I know.
Okay. Could it be something more serious, like bronchitis or something? Like something I know you don't have like
a lung thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a cough. I don't have a cough at all, but I've just been sneezing and my nose is just, it seems to happen, I don't know, like I get sneezy and nose like runs in the morning and in the evening, and I guess around this time I get a bit stuffy. But I don't know. Like I don't
because so we were texting, I started sneezing a lot like a week and a half ago, just like out of nowhere, sneezing a lot. Made me think of you because I was just like, is there dust here? Like I literally was like, is there dust? So I started sneezing a bunch, and then I had a couple of days where I was just like runny nose. But it was like 2 days runny nose, nothing. 2 days go by, runny nose. And I was like, what is going on? Like I was like, I just don't understand. And like even the sneezing was like a couple days sneezing, nothing. And I was just like, I just don't understand, because like to me that feels like allergies if it's not consistent.
Yeah.
But then I don't get allergies, and also it's winter, and also I haven't left the house.
What I did find out is it could be, and I think someone did write in saying this, but it could be sinusitis. Like it could be, my sinuses could be infected.
Oh.
So I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah. I've just realized that our podcast is just like two old ladies being like, this hurts.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just going to get worse as years go on. Like, and we continue doing this, we're going to be like, my hip feels really fragile.
Yeah, and we're like 37. You know what I mean? Like people look back and they're just like, you know, I was listening to them, and then I saw a picture, and they read young, but they sound like the golden
So let me read this. Acute tinnitus usually starts, I'm shutting you up. I'm sorry. I just interrupted you. Acute tinnitus usually starts with cold-like symptoms such as runny, stuffy nose and facial pain, and it may start suddenly and last 2 to 4 weeks. Subacute tinnitus will last 4 to 12 weeks, and chronic is 12 weeks or longer. God, please don't let it be chronic if it is this. And swelling inside the nose, like from a common cold, blocked drainage ducts. That sounds like all of what's going on here. Structural differences that narrow those ducts. Nasal polyps, don't know. Immune system deficiencies, doubt it. I'm pretty strong like bull. And then, so I just don't know how to get rid of it. Treatment. If you have a simple sinus infection, your doctor may recommend you use a decongestant and saline nasal washes. You shouldn't use over-the-counter decongestant for more than 3 days because it can make you more congested. I tried one of those nasal sprays. I hate it. I don't know if you've ever sprayed shit up your nose, but it doesn't feel right or natural.
My dad was like almost like addicted to those, and he doesn't have a sense of smell now. Like it's like one of the like like they work, but if you keep using them, like they said, like more than you're supposed to, it messes up your nostrils and stuff. Yeah, so I used it like twice, and I was like, I would like to smell flowers continually.
So I might just call the doctor and see what's going on. Maybe they can offer like an antibiotic or something.
It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, and I'm unhappy with that.
It's also like when you're stuck indoors and you have nothing else really going on, it just makes your uncomfortableness so much more like in focus.
Yeah.
If I'm busy and I have a cold, it's like, yeah, I'm uncomfortable. I'm carrying tissues, but like I have shit to do. But like being sick during the pandemic, besides thinking I have COVID and I'm dying, I'm just kind of like, my life is over. Like, it's just so like, it's the most important thing that's going on is that my nose is drippy.
Yeah. Yeah. I know my dad was like, why don't you call a doctor? And I was like, I'm not calling a doctor for a runny nose. Thank you. And I'm like,
it's a global pandemic. I'm an adult.
Yeah. But at the same time, I want to breathe.
Yeah. Let's get personal.
Let's do it.
I didn't mean to say that you were pretty for like 10 minutes beforehand, and then this be our let's get personal.
I told you, but our things in our podcast connect.
I know, we're just on the right page. So our question is, did people growing up tell you that you were pretty? And it's actually a conversation I was having with a friend of mine I've had since elementary school. I saw her when I was doing Florida gigs. I went to go see her, and we've been friends forever. But like we grew up, I think 10, 11, 12 is when we were like in the same town, went to the same school, had class together. And then she moved to Tennessee at the time, and I moved to a different part of New Jersey, and we've just stayed friends. So I was just kind of like, you know what I mean? We just had like 3 years where we like, I don't know. I've just started to notice that like we only started talking about deeper stuff recently. And like, I remember her dad died in the 5th grade. And I just remember like, she didn't come to school, and I was like, oh, why didn't she come to school? She's like, oh, my dad died. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then we just never talked about it again. And I'm just like, it's so weird to be a kid. Like, that's such a monumental thing to happen to like an 11-year-old. And I'm sure I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't think I was like, and then like genuinely, like, I think we talked about it more in our 30s than we ever did any other time. I remember being like, did that affect you? Like, cause she had a stepdad, but like, I don't know. It was just like, so anyway, we were talking about our childhood, and she was just like, she has 2 boys now. And she goes, I don't think anybody ever told me I was pretty, which she's like, in some ways I'm glad, like, you know, I haven't based my personality or my worth on this thing that I don't think it should be solely based on. But at the same time, I think I spent most of my life feeling really insecure. Like maybe I'm not. So she's like, so she goes, I make sure I tell my kids they're handsome every day. She's like, hey, handsome sailor, did you do your homework? Like, you look very handsome, but
That's
handsome
funny.
people make their bed. So I was like, it just got me thinking. I was like, oh yeah, again, I'm grateful that I don't base my complete value on something that is arbitrary, subjective, fading, and, you know, whatever. But at the same time, I don't think anybody really said it to me ever, to the point where when somebody called me pretty, when I think once or twice in high school, it was like a boy, somebody was like, oh, he thinks you're pretty. And I'm like, crazy, tell me more. And they're like, that's it. And I was like, elaborate. What parts? And then like in college when I started like really dating, but like it's still a little bit, I don't like strangers, doesn't matter. It's like my friends and anybody I'm dating. But like, it's always like, I'm always like, how, when, who, why? Like, I find that to be a thing that like, I don't base my value on it, but I'm also very curious about why they feel that way.
Yeah. I love being called pretty, but like not after I get off stage, you know,
Oh,
it's like, I've just like was like 120% personality up there, and now you're calling me pretty. Like that's an insult, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I grew up with people saying I was pretty. I got cute, just like older people, like you're so cute.
We also, as like tiny humans, like that is what we get. Like
And I would get so mad, like when I was a
I don't like
child,
that
when I was
either.
like a 5-year-old, I was like, I am not cute because cute means small, and I'm not small. And it's like the smallest thing, just like, no, don't you say that, like.
Yeah, just Shirley Templing everybody, just be like, you don't know, you don't. Someday you'll know.
But I don't think I've ever been called, like, I mean, by who, like, who calling you pretty? Like, I don't think
I think
classmates ever called me pretty. I don't think like,
yeah. I think
the
it
first
starts with
time I
your
remember
parents.
getting called pretty was like on what was it called? Makeoutclub.com. It was like pre MySpace.
Oh God.
Somebody wrote to me like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty," and I was like, "I'm pretty." And I was like, 20, like, I'm pretty.
I think the initial question comes from like how you were brought up. Like, did your parents? Is that like? And it's funny because like again, I'm grateful that wasn't like where they put all our value, but at the same time, you almost feel like you mentally grew up in a bunker where like they over here tell you it doesn't matter or it's not even discussed, and then you go into the real world and they're like your face is your value, and you're like, oh, then what is it? What is my value then? And I don't think it was a conscious thing. I just think my parents, they also probably grew up with that not being a thing. I mean, they had terrible childhoods, that they had way more important things than their kids having self-esteem. Like that's just not, you know what I mean? They're just like, you need to fucking raise these other kids. But I don't know. It was such an interesting thing that my friend brought up, that it just made me realize like, oh, that might actually contribute to some of my insecurity, is that it was a thing I didn't hear really until I was probably in college. And then it's from strangers. And I actually don't think hearing that from strangers penetrates or feels like anything. It has to be from like close friends, people that you already have value with, or clearly somebody that you're dating. But I almost think by the time somebody you're dating says it, it's kind of too late, because you're like, well, do they really? Like, I swear to God, I've had like boyfriends be like, you're really pretty, or you look really pretty tonight. And I'm like, you don't mean that.
Yeah.
Because when it's the 8th time you've heard it, you're just like, I feel like I would have heard it more.
Yeah. Johnny is full of compliments, and I wish I could. He was like, you're not really good at taking compliments. I'm like, no, I'm not, because he'll compliment me and I don't know, I'm just like, thank you. Like, you don't know how to take it. It's just.
As opposed to humor being something that has always been the highest of value to me, I think to us, to how people kind of take us in. I mean, I also was very insecure about my intelligence. So I think I had just as much value, if not more value, to humor and intelligence. And I definitely didn't hear that I was smart when I was younger. So when people started telling me I was smart because of my joke writing, I was like, I tricked them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I tricked them. And I don't feel that way when like I put on eyeliner and somebody says you look pretty. I'm like, I tricked them. Like, I don't feel like that either, but I don't know.
I'm like, I can't own this. You're like, oh, I love your eye makeup. I'm like, I can't own it. I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
It's too sassy for me. I can't. I don't belong in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you literally just put black ink over your eye, and you're like, it's not me anymore.
It isn't that. No,
it's a new person.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember doing well with math in like 8th grade, and like I beat everybody in like math, like around the world challenges, and I got free pizza at Pizza Hut because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the reinforcement. I don't know why that didn't take me farther. It's just like, why didn't I take that and run with it and just become like a scholar, you know?
That's interesting, because we had like book club. Did you have Pizza Hut book club?
Yeah.
And so my dad made reading, like you had to read 2 hours a day to watch TV, and I'm dyslexic. So I would like read it, and then he's like, bedtime. And I was like, this is a scam. this whole thing is a charade. By the time I read, it's bedtime. I'm a slow reader. But I would get really into book club because in my house we had to read, and then I got rewarded both at home for reading, and then Pizza Hut gave rewards, and then you got like fun, cool Pizza Hut stuff. So like in some way, and now I'm a reader. I'm like one of the few people, even though it's hard for me, I'm one of the few people in my world that reads as much as I do. But like that was like one of the few, like at home it was reinforced. Pizza Hut reinforced it. The corporate people reinforced it. Every time I look at pizza, I'm like, I don't want to read.
Man, Pizza Hut ruined themselves on you because you're like, it's like instead of thinking of delicious pizza, you're thinking of books. You're like, get it away from me.
I just want to hang out with my friends and watch TV. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Like I'm very much, as somebody, you know, I'm an aunt now. So I have a niece and I have 2 nephews, and I do, you know, and I'm a feminist. So it's just like, I do think like so Scout's really girly and she loves dresses and princess shoes and all that stuff. And you never want to tell them, like, if that's what they like, that's what they like. I'm never going to tell them not to like it. So I'm always like, oh, you look so nice. And I'll be like, oh, look at these like, I make sure that my compliments are even. So it's not just, you look so pretty, you know, whatever. So it's just like, what a great drawing, or, you know, that was really thoughtful of you to help out Cooper like that. Like, to me, it's just when the only thing you say to a little girl has to do with their appearance, even if that's what they're excited about. Like Emmy, my little sister, was the only person that was really girly in our family. Like, I don't feel like I just wasn't girly.
Yeah. Well, it's good that wasn't like the only enforcement you got. I don't know what it's like to grow up like that. Like, where it's just people just tell you how pretty you are.
I'd like to think that they aren't having an awesome podcast.
I would, they probably have like a husband and 3 children.
Yeah, and I don't want that. I don't want any of that. It's funny, like, I can see where the insecurity comes from, but I'm also, like I said, grateful because I like that I worked hard to have a personality and to be funny and to be, we all, like I said, it's subjective, it fades. You know what I mean? Like, you're just, even if you're a model, you like tap out, you know, at some point, like a football player, they're like, you're too old for this. Get out of here. Like, you have to start some kind of award show or something to continue to be of value. You can do comedy forever. You can be funny forever.
Yeah. Yeah. We made smart choices.
I think our parents made this choice for us.
Yeah. You did this to us.
You want to get into the topic?
Yeah.
Okay, so our topic this week is dreams, which was 100% because I had like 8 vivid dreams in a row, and I was texting you incessantly, and I was like, I know this is the most boring type of conversation, but I remember it, it's crazy, and I just need to share it with somebody so I can move on with my day.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I do get bored with dream conversations. Johnny loves hearing about dreams, and I'll be like, I had this dream, and most people go, oh. Like, they'll listen, but they don't want to be, and he'll go on, and he'll analyze it. He's so good at that. And but I generally, it does feel like there are specific times where your dreams are more vivid, but most of the time I don't remember my dreams, but there seems like to be a few nights in a row where you will, and I'm not sure what that is. But
so I did a bunch of research. So first of all, your dreaming happens in REM sleep. So you have to be in REM sleep to be having dreams, or that's mostly where your dreams are. And then they tend to be more vivid, or they tend to be like more vivid or crazier when you've been like sleep deprived. Like, let's say, you know, we'd be like flying from different places. We're not getting as much sleep. And then we get home after being on the road and we just pass out. That's when you would have one of those kind of like vivid dreams. Which kind of makes sense because my cat has been keeping me up for a couple of days. And then I had like three nights in a row where I had these like very like vivid dreams. The other thing is the reason you remember them is because you woke up in the middle of them. So if you complete your dream and then wake up, you're more likely not to remember it. But it's always like, wait, what was he about to say to me? Like, you're
I hate that. Yeah. Unless I'm getting out of a terrible dream. I hate that. It's like, we were just about to do the thing.
Yeah. We're going to have a moment. So the one person in my life, which I don't know why I made you listen to my dreams when it's Carmen, our friend Carmen, like, she loves that stuff. Like, she brings that to her therapist analyzes it. When I lived with her, she was the first person that when I would tell her about a dream, she would like take out her phone and be like, let's figure out what this means.
Really?
I never was that person. Like, I would have a dream and then it was always like a dirty secret. Like, especially because like if they're like weird at all, like I remember this dream, this is probably like over 5 years ago, but I had a dream that I took a shit in a tub. Then I was embarrassed. I took a shit in a tub and I started smashing it down the drain.
What?
I told you, it's embarrassing. So I had this gross dream, and then I wake up and you're just kind of like, I need to just search to find out that it means like I'm spiritually awakened and I'm going to have money or something. Like it's when the dream is that like gross or weird and just like something you would never do in real life and you're like mad at yourself. That's when I have to like Google like, what does shitting in a tub mean? Or what does hiding your shit mean? Like, you know what I mean? And then of course the way dream analysts is almost feels the same way that like somebody that palm reads or something. It's always just like, oh, you dreamed about shit. It means that your chakras are opening and that new money's coming into your life. And you're like, I love shit dreams.
Liz,
like,
what does it mean? What does it mean?
I should have done
Do you
this.
know what? This isn't, I thought you were talking about another shit dream that you had.
What's my other shit dream? I have had a few.
We talked about it on the podcast already. And then I need to get water while you're doing that, actually. Hang on.
See, they're also all over the place. Like, so dreaming about poop or feces. I hate the word feces, by the way. Horrible. It's so much grosser.
Yeah.
When one dreams about poop, this is symbolic of a situation which has become rife with stress. To dream about having a poop. Who is having a poop? You may find yourself in a situation that is either disgusting or filthy and you cannot find your way out. That's just too like straight for me. Weirdly enough, I don't like that. So then you look up again, and then one says, does dreaming of poop mean money? Feces is a dream spiritually is a sign of wealth and financial luck. Seeing it on a wall suggests unexpected benefit coming your way due to someone else's neglect.
Nah, I don't buy this. And I don't buy that rain on a wedding day is actually good luck. It's shit people say to you to make you feel better about your shit dream.
Yeah, or like when a bird poops on you and they're like, you got good luck your way.
Yeah, nah. You're just
Yeah, so it's just I just feel like it's funny. I don't like the ones that are straight where they're just like dreaming of poop means that you feel dirty and filthy, or dreaming of poop you're going to come into unexpected money. You're like, they're both ridiculous. Like they're both
let's entertain the money thing. Maybe you will come into unexpected money. But do you know what? Like, did you come into unexpected money when you had that poop dream 5 years ago?
I do feel like I financially started to be more secure in the last 3 to 4 years. So some of these poop dreams, guys,
slow burners, but yeah.
You just gotta believe. But like, okay,
you did have a poop dream. We talked about it on the podcast.
One of our most embarrassing episodes.
For you, I'm fine. But like, because I think it was at Justin's, you had like a poop dream at his place or something. But
which is always like you're sleeping next to somebody and you're like, do I share? This seems like the most intimate thing to tell a partner.
Yeah. But do you remember what I'm talking about?
I don't actually. That's the crazy part, that you remember my dream more than I do.
I remember you talking about a poop dream, yeah. And I remember like it had happened recently. So this is 2 poop dreams that you've had.
I think I've had several. So clearly there's some kind, if it has to do with stress, I'm always
But you know what? Your source of stress in like, you have, you've had stomach issues for a long time. So you sort of connect the two anyway.
Yeah. And I've definitely had dreams, like my scariest dreams are when I'm peeing in a dream, because I'm like so terrified I'm going to like pee the bed, because I'm somebody that has to get up in the middle of the night to pee. So I've definitely like been dreaming about peeing in a dream, woken up terrified, and then been like, oh, good. And I never have, or at least not since I was like a little kid. But I am like, it's like almost like my brain is being like, you need to get up and pee. And then I like get up in a panic and I pee, and I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not an adult that peed their bed. But like, it is like those actually. Oh, I think I do remember the poop dream at Justin's. He was in the bathroom and I had to go. So we had this like rolly chair that was like a porter potty. And so I used the rolly chair porter potty, but then like an hour later, I just used it again. And he's like, there's nobody in the bathroom. And I was like,
this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
I don't know.
I don't know. It rolls and I can.
Carmen's therapist have to say about that?
They truly don't understand why, like the purpose of us dreaming. Like okay, so like the reason that we even analyze dreams is because of Freud. Like Freud believed that it's our unconscious mind trying to send us messages, and that things that we're not completely capable or ready to feel in our conscious mind, our unconscious mind is like, you need to talk to your mother. Like it's like trying to push out through dreams. Not everybody kind of believes that.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, and like there's a couple
I believe
like,
that like dreams are just a result of what's going on in your conscious. Like if when I worked at waiting tables, I'd have a lot of anxiety dreams about waiting tables, or I couldn't get to the table, or I was way behind or whatever. And the same with comedy and stuff. I think it just takes what you're already feeling and it just sort of plays that for you for fun, because your brain's fun. Like it's having a good time. Yeah.
You're like, I just want to get away from my stress, and your brain's like, you'll never get away from your stress.
Yeah. Or like when I dreamed of celebrities, and that was a Google for me. Like why am I dreaming of Mark Maron? And it's like, I think on some level, I started podcasting. I now feel like I'm on like his trajectory, but he's just way ahead of me. And so like, maybe it's just like my unconscious, like desire to like be at that level.
Yeah.
So I just think it's kind of like taking what you're already thinking and then just playing a movie out of it.
What I find pretty fascinating is whenever I was stressed about something to do with stand-up, a taping that I had or like a big audition, I didn't have fucking up stand-up dreams. I would have fucking up gymnastics competition dreams.
Oh, weird.
It's so weird. I would say 90% of my stress dreams that have to do with performance is not my most recent performance. It's not like another show. It's when I used to compete as a gymnast from, 7 to 14. And I was like, weird. So it's a lot of me falling off a balance beam, a lot of me like, not placing, a lot of me like thinking I stuck the landing, but I'm in mud. Like, like just like all this kind of like weird gymnastic stuff. And then I wake up and it's because I have an audition for Just for Laughs or something. Like, yeah. I've noticed that correlation of stress, and it just takes a more immature version of my stress, or like an older version of my stress, and like puts it on there. But like, so I looked up
but you remember how we talked about pursuing comedy to be in control of the things that we found stressful as young children. And then that must have, like, how old were you when you were doing gymnastics competitions?
I mean, I now know, looking back, I was having panic attacks while competing, and I had no idea. Like,
oh, shit.
Like it wasn't until I understood that I was having a panic attacks in my mid 20s to be like, oh, that's why I quit gymnastics. That's why I hated gymnastics, is like I was having panic attacks and I had no idea.
So maybe that's, I'm not gonna let you speak. So maybe that's the unresolved trauma that like you keep, that you were kind of with the auditions for HBO and with everything you do.
Yeah, being scared I was gonna
reliving that moment.
Yeah, like being scared that I was gonna have a panic attack in front of everybody. But then also, why was I having panic attacks? Which is, why do I have that level of anxiety for something that's supposed to be fun?
You're performing in front of people and you could fail. Isn't that enough? It's scary.
You said that so succinctly that like if I had an audition today, I'd be like, you bitch. You're performing in front of people and you could fail. And that's terrifying.
Everything
and I'm like,
go wrong. They're gonna judge you.
I want to read some of these theories that they have. So like there's a bunch, so because they don't really understand why we dream, there's all these different theories that they really can't conclude to or not. So like one is dreams as therapists, which is what we kind of talked about, ways to confront emotional trauma that allow you to explore feelings your unconscious self wants to but can't. Then there's dreams as fight or flight training, which I kind of like this. It's like you're more active during dreams, and it's like, so it happens in the part of the brain, the amygdala, I can never say that, amygdala, part of the brain associated with survival instincts. So they think it's a way for your brain to like get ready. So I just think it's so funny that like my brain is doing like kung fu for like if I meet somebody in the streets, and I'd be like, I had a dream about kicking you in the nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm prepared. Dreams as muse, which is, when your brain when your dreams make little to no sense, like our dreams are so random or whatever, they basically say it's the emotional centers that are having these dreams that kind of trigger them, but the logical region of your brain isn't really active. So that's why like they kind of think that it's really like a lot of creative people, like a lot of artists or whatever, kind of give credit to their dreams for why they painted certain things or did certain things, and it's because this emotional side of your brain is active, and like there's no filter with the logical side. So like, especially even the fact that as two creative people, like how many times have you had an idea and you're like, nah, it's stupid, and
That actually pisses me off, because I'm like, why is my brain always giving me anxiety dreams?
Yeah.
Why are you ever inspiring me, brain? Why am I dealing with like anxiety? That's not fair.
Yeah, why don't I wake up and my script is completely written?
Right.
In my
Why
dream?
am I not like, oh my God, I have a whole new 10 minutes? No.
Yeah. No. I've gotten high and had a whole new 10 minutes, wrote it down, read it, and been like, this is trash. This is nonsensical trash. So yeah. So we don't do that anymore. And then dreams as we don't do that anymore. Dreams as memory aids. So basically, sleeping in general is when your brain starts to categorize your memories. This one's important, this one's not important. So they think this might be because your brain is doing that already. It's like sorting your memories. It's like how it's sorting it. And so I've heard that everything and every person in your dream is somebody you've met. So if you see somebody and you're like, I've never seen that person, it could have been somebody you saw in a department store for 3 seconds that you just saw or you made eye contact with. You didn't remember it because who gives a shit? It's just a lady you saw at a department store, but now she's playing your mother in your dream.
Yeah.
Because you saw her.
Right.
So but your brain is going, this is an unimportant person. It's somebody you saw for 3 seconds in a department store. But as it's categorizing it, they're like, department store lady, she'll go over here. Your mother's going to go over here.
Your mother is pasta.
Yeah, my mom's pasta. I always get so frustrated and I always feel so stupid with those dreams where I'm just like I'll call up my sister and I'll be like, you were in my dream, but it wasn't you. It was Martha Stewart, but she was my sister. And she was telling me, and I was so mad at her. She said this thing, which is really you, like just sounding like a crazy person.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, I think you should call Martha Stewart. Like, this doesn't feel like it's about me. And then, nightmares, which are the dreams that nobody wants. They're basically caused by stress, anxiety, sometimes certain medication.
I used to have nightmares as a child, didn't you?
Yes, I actually had like reoccurring nightmares.
Yeah, me too. There was one where I was being chased by a dragonfly. Like somebody was chasing me. It was like Freddy Krueger. And I was like, their weapon was a dragonfly. And I remember like waking up because like I got stung by it once and I woke up crying. And I was like, I hate this dream. And I had another recurring dream that there was like Dracula was blocking my path into my home.
How old are you?
Like 32. I don't know. I must have been 3 or 4 or something like that. Like very young. Okay. But yeah, I used to have a lot of recurring nightmares.
I was gonna say Dracula is like the least scary of the.
Go fuck yourself. It was Count Dracula.
yeah. Matt, math is scary to all of us. I'm like, I don't want to take the math test. He's like, we're gonna count again. I had a reoccurring dream when I was a kid, and it's like actually, it was probably like middle school to high school. Actually, if I'm being really honest, it was like a main street. Even though our town didn't look like this, it was like one of these typical main streets where it was like all these different restaurants, and they had outdoor seating, and there was always a woman that was putting chairs, like it was the end of the night, and she was always putting chairs up on the tables. Mm-hmm. And I would call out her name, and her name was Mom. So I'd be calling out my mom, and then she would look angry, and then she would turn into a monster, and she would start screaming at me, and then she would chase me with a chair. It was always really quick, and it was probably from like middle school to I think when I was like 17 or something like that. And it was always like super embarrassing because I was like, I'm having these nightmares as what I would like to think as a grown adult.
So
and they would throw me off
in our nightmares.
Huh?
We're both being chased in our nightmares.
Yeah. I wonder what
I have a lot of being chased nightmares because I can't run. So it's like that is my worst nightmare is being chased.
Which is interesting because then I got into
you got into running.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll show you dreams.
And I just stress ate.
Oh, Chasing Nightmares is apparently a movie. Okay.
Oh, that's not cool. That's not what we're asking.
Nope. Google, you got this wrong. Chasing Nightmare meaning. Again, if it says exactly what I think. Okay. Dreaming about being chased generally means that you are being told by your unconsciousness that you're avoiding an issue or a person. In such dreams, context is important, which includes identifying the chaser.
I guess so, but I don't know. It's hard for me to think I was avoiding anyone as a kid, but maybe I was.
I feel like I was avoiding everybody as a child.
Yeah.
I had too much pressure as a kid.
Oh, the stress of being a child. It is a
Yeah,
lot.
I did. God, it's so much easier being an adult in a pandemic. I do nothing. This is, now that I think about it, this has been my dream as a teenager. I always no homework, don't have to go anywhere. I eat what I want. I talk to my friends, but I don't have to leave the house. I just realized I might have wished this when I was 15.
Thank you.
And
Everyone is very happy you did that.
Yeah. Everybody's like, we lost everything.
Yeah.
Now I think about it. This is my 15-year-old dream.
I've loved lockdown. I've always said it.
I definitely feel like the lack of having to keep up with the Joneses, in our community, and the lack of, my dad made being on time such a important part of who I am as a person. Like, my dad's the type of person that's like, if on time is 15 minutes early, and if you show up exactly on the dot, you're late. And there's a great comic, his name's Sam Evans, and he has this joke that was like, my boss said if I show up he goes, it doesn't matter if you show up 15 minutes late or an hour late, you're late. And he goes, so I show up an hour late. Like, if it's not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm already running late, I might as well be an hour late. You said there's no difference. And that's kind of like, my dad has made not being on time such a part, like, people are going to judge you, that I like with spots and airports and
I'm always early. Yeah. I'm the same way. I think our dads would get along.
I think they would too. I really do. That's why, you ever have a meeting and that they're packed, but you're like, I have to show up early, but I can't show up too early because then I look like I'm not doing anything with my day. So it's like, have you ever showed up, you're so paranoid about showing up late that you show up a half hour early, but you're like, I can't check in at the front desk a half hour early. I'll look like a psychopath. So then you have to walk around the block and you'll be like, I think 12 minutes early is respectable. I'm going to show up 12 minutes early. And then they're 10 minutes late and you're like, 45 minutes of my life is gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the time. I'm always way early. I have to kill the time. I do that same thinking of what's too early. It depends on where I'm going. Cause obviously if it's someone's home, it has to be 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Or, but nothing more, because now they have to.
Yeah. My therapist, she now doesn't live in the city anymore, but she used to do therapy in a room in her apartment. And so if you showed up early, you could hear the other people. And I was I would literally be blasting the angriest music. Cause I was like, this is not my place. I was like, it's just cold outside. I can't.
I had a therapist that worked at home and she was like, don't show up early. You can sit in the kitchen, but I don't want you here,
Yeah, no,
so
it's not. It's not respectful.
Yeah. But, I'm always I hate when I send emails back right away and people go, wow, thanks for the quick response. It just makes me feel like shit.
Yeah. It makes you feel like a loser. You're like, no, I'm just fucking diligent.
Yeah.
And I know how to time management, Sarah. Okay. Back to dreams. So I think I already said the dreams you remember are the ones that were still ongoing when you woke up. The reason you can't remember your dreams is the chemical associated with memory is at its lowest when you're dreaming. It's norepinephrine.
Okay.
I thought this was really cute. They're like, if you want to try to remember your dreams, right before you go to sleep, you got to be like, I want to remember my dreams. You have a conversation with yourself. You're like, hey, brain.
Oh, I can't believe we're doing a thing about dreams and we're not talking at all about lucid dreaming or anything like that.
I was starting to look it up. My brother got really into lucid dreams. There's it would almost have to be its own episode because there's so much on people that that's their goal in life is to lucid dream and to be able to knock 3 times. And that's how you're dreaming. And,
I know that Johnny tried it for a while. There's another comedian here that's getting so into lucid dreaming that everyone else is going, hey, are you okay? They're commenting on his Facebook post. Are you okay? He seems like he might be losing it. And I actually don't know if he is just sort of into lucid dreaming because he does lucid dreaming art, which is really cool. Yeah. But we don't know if he's actually losing it or if he's fine and he's just exploring this really cool thing. But there's a whole thing about it.
Yeah, I think what's difficult with let's put it this way. I text you, I tell you a description of what I dreamed last night. We talk about it for 10 minutes and then we move on. This obsession with who you are when you aren't awake, which is, I get that it's a huge chunk of your day. It's 8 hours. You know what I mean? It's 7 to 8 hours of your day that you're not conscious. But I mean, anytime I almost feel the obsession with lucid dreams is the same when somebody becomes obsessed with a drug, where you're just like, you just don't want to be here. You don't want to be here.
I don't
Being
know.
here
I think
sucks.
because like you could do anything in your dreams. You could fly, you could jump off a cliff or whatever. So to be able to control that, I
You
think
can do anything when you're drunk. You can jump.
no,
You
but
can
you
call
would
an
die. There's
ex.
consequences. You get physically hurt. In dreams, you could do anything. Like if I could fly in my dream and if I could control that, I would definitely. I don't know if that's what lucid dreaming is. I haven't looked into it at all, but like I would definitely do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I should first I was about to say master meditation when really it's start meditation. I feel like I should master a thing I haven't started first before I get into. I just don't. If I'm not disciplined with meditating, I can't imagine I'm going to be disciplined with lucid dreaming.
I just don't even understand like how people start controlling their dreams. Like what? Let me see
I
if
can't
there's a
even
real
control my
quick
life.
listicle. Let me just see if there's a real quick listicle on how to lucid dream. I'm sure that 5 techniques. There we are. There's my listicle.
Oh yeah.
Thank you,
Oh yeah.
Helpline.
There we go.
How to lucid dream. Super simple. Reality testing. Reality checking is a form of mental training. It increases metacognition by training your mind to notice your own awareness. Your level of metacognition is similar in your waking and dreaming states, so higher metacognition when you're awake could lead to higher metacognition when you're dreaming. I think that might have something to do with meditation. I really don't know. It feels like the power of now shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Reality testing. I don't really get that. Here are some common reality checks that people use to lucid dream. Mirrors. Check your reflection to see if it looks normal. Solid objects. Push your hand against a wall or a table and see if it goes through. Some people push their fingers into the opposite palm. Hands. Look at your hands. Do they look normal? Time. If you're dreaming, the time on a clock will constantly change, but if you're awake, the time will barely change. This is really interesting because it's just, I mean, but like, how do you tell yourself to do that in a dream? I have no control over my dreams. And I feel like lucid dreaming makes me feel like I just have like a wild animal of a brain and it could be domesticated. Do you know what I mean?
I'm so wrapped up in the atrocity of what's happening in the moment that I would never think like the stream I told you about recently. Like I told you there was a guy that I dated it's been years, and he stole all my clothes. Like we were living together. He stole my clothes. He stole the dresser my clothes was in. He sold it, and I had to go wearing his clothes to go buy my clothes back. And I'm like, it's happening in real life. Like I'm almost telling you about this dream where I'm like, isn't that bullshit? Like that's how I feel in the dream. Like I'm so consumed by this atrocity that's happening to me that I would never think like, hey, maybe somebody didn't steal your clothes and sell them to a boutique that just happened to be down the street.
Right. It's
Like,
just, but that's what I mean. Like it's so far away from my awareness in my dream life. Like I barely remember my dreams. I don't know how I would be mentally with it enough in a dream to be able to be like, oh, is this a dream? Let me check my hands. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Also, like,
yeah,
it kind of, because you brought up power of now, like I always say the thing that I got from that was accept, then react. And I'm still like reacting like a crazy person to normal things that have happened. And then I'm just talking about being in a dream, just reacting. I'm just like, give me my clothes back. Like, and then there's just like somebody, like there's like a squirrel in my dream that's like, check your hands.
yeah. It says to have a dream diary so that you can start recognizing dream signs, like as if all dreams have like particular, like there's like a hawk in the background, like, ah! And you're like, oh, that's the dream hawk.
Oh, dream hawk.
Wake initiated lucid dreaming is wild, which is weird because that's the word I use to describe my brain, I think. Happens when you directly enter a dream from waking life. It helps your mind stay conscious when your body goes to sleep. You'll need to lay down and relax and experience a hype or something, a hallucination. Look, I don't know. We'll have to come back to this because it's too much.
Yeah. I feel like we solved nothing, so that's good.
So
on brand.
Yeah.
I guess I would want to hear from people like, of course, if anybody has been able to like figure out lucid dreaming, I would want to hear about that and like how they got into it. But like, I think more importantly, like, do you believe that your dreams are like secret messages? because like there's a part, because I kind of think of like when you analyze your dream, it's not too far from like, you're a Gemini and that means you're going to come into money this month. Like to me, it's not too far off from that. And I take it with that kind of grain of salt, but I also like it. And I do the same thing I do with horoscopes. If my shit dream says I'm coming into money, I'm like, yeah, shit dream, coming into money. But if it says I'm stressed out, I'm like, you don't know me, shit dream. So like I think we're going to delete this whole episode.
No, I love it.
But yeah, I would like to know, like, if you really do like feel like you analyze your dreams, and by analyzing them, it makes you more conscious of how you're feeling, therefore like take the next steps to feel better or change. Or
is there a practical use for paying attention to your dreams?
Yes, somebody tell us. But you can write to us at 2non-doctors, that's 2 non full word doctors @gmail.com, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye guys.